So good morning, everyone again, or good afternoon or good night, depending on where you're joining us today. Today, we are going to be doing an a role-playing game on an interdisciplinary approach to early warning systems. So I'm going to please note that you are being recorded right now, and let's start. So this session is being organized by the Water Youth Network, as well as the Polytechnic University of Catalonia and the University of Reading. Now, the Water Youth Network, we are a group of young, like-minded individuals all working on water-related topics. So we're trying to bring together youth from all over, from a global community, to work on these different disciplines in the water sector. Within the Water Youth Network, we also have the DRR group and the Early Warning Systems Young Professionals group. The Early Warning Systems group, our goal is really to connect young people, early career scientists and practitioners working on early warning systems. And this is one of the main reasons why we've initiated this project today, this exercise today. So today you'll be hearing from five facilitators. Myself, I'm Adele. I'm a PhD student at IIT Delft and TU Delft in the Netherlands. You'll also be hearing from Erica, Santiago, and Nikos. We are all PhD students working on different topics in early warning systems, whether it's impact-based warning or sub-seasonal forecasting, but we're all working and very passionate about early warning systems. Also joining us is Dr. Linda Faith. She's from the University of Reading. Linda is a hydro-meteorologist. She has experience with operational forecasting, and right now she's a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Reading working on the FATHM project. So to get right into it, the game that we'll be playing. I haven't had a chance to look at who our participants are today, but our focus will be on operational decision making in a flood scenario. So, and not focused on citizens making decisions. But regardless of what you're working on, maybe if we have operational forecasters or if we have decision makers or disaster risk managers, regardless of that, the decision making process is very important. And we would like to showcase how the decision making process can be influenced when supported by different types of information, especially those that can be developed through an interdisciplinary approach. So first of all, we're going to give an introduction of the game. We have a city that we're going to discuss, the different roles that you will be taking on, and the type of products that you're going to be using. After that, we'll get into the game. We have a first round which will be a demo game. And we have two forecasters, Nikos and Erica. They will walk you through the demo game. And then you will have the opportunity to play the 3 rounds, not on your own, but you will be able to play those rounds and we'll assist you if you have any questions. And you will be able to make those decisions. Finally, we'll have the discussion and the wrap-up session using Menti, and we can get some ideas of how you felt about using the products and playing the game, and any discussions can follow after that. So let's get right to it. This is the city of Everland. There's a population of approximately 100,000 people. It's located in the foothills of the Monrepo Mountains. There's a mixture of urban and suburban development. Many of the storms occur during the summer, and there's an average annual rainfall of approximately 700 millimeters per year. And there are 2 main rivers, which are the East River, which is a perennial river, and the West Dry River, which is a non-perennial river, and generally sees less rainfall. So in order to play this game, and as you take on these roles, there are a couple of things you need to keep in mind, which is the location of the main city, the location of the residential areas, the school, there is a museum, There's a paper factory, and there are two very important bridges that provide the main entry in and out of the city, and also to many of the residential areas. So this is to give you just more of a perspective so you can see where things are in relation to each other. So we have the factory over by the East River, and then the bridges are on the East River, and then the school and the museum is closer to the West Dry River. Okay, so the roles that you will be taking on today, there are 4 roles. The demo game will be played with the cycling organizer. And after that, you will be taking on the school district manager, the road operator, and the factory manager. What you have to keep in mind when you're making your decisions is that the decision you make has both positive and negative consequences. And you have to look at both of these before making a decision. What I should also let you know, and really to make this game simpler, the roles do not influence each other. So they all act independently of each other. So you can also keep that in mind. In addition, we've also provided contingency tables for each role. So in these contingency tables, it gives the cost and benefit of taking a decision or not taking a decision. For the cycling organizer, it would be whether to cancel an event or whether to keep the original plans, and what would be the cost and the benefit if the flood did occur or if the flood did not occur. For the other roles, you would have to make decisions to either evacuate the school or keep the existing plan. For the road operators, you have to decide whether to keep the 2 bridges open or to close the bridges. And for the factory, you will decide whether to close the factory or to keep the factory open. And in the contingency tables that will be provided to you, they will give you the cost and the benefits for each of these. So the timeline, you will be making 3 different decisions per role at different lead times. So the first lead time would be approximately 24 hours before the event is forecasted to occur. So that's the first lead time. The second lead time would be on the day itself, but 4 hours ahead of the time that the event has been forecasted. And then the final lead time, which is at 12:30, is approximately 1 hour ahead of when we expect this event to occur. So now that I've given you an overview of the timeline, next I'm going to ask Erica, who will be one of your forecasters today, just to give some slight overview of the type of information that you might encounter. So Erica?
Yes, so picking up from what Adele just said, in this case, we're going to have different type of products or forecasts that are going to be presented to you, and based on this information, you have to make your decision at each lead time that she just explained. So just to quickly mention, we have meteorological information, discharge hydrographs, so like the one that you see in the middle, high resolution rainfall accumulation products. This can come from models or radar based, and finally flash flood hazard levels, so like the one that you see on the right. So in this case is the flash flood hazard level for a pixel in a river, and it telling you from 1 to 3 the risk that you might experience around that area. So you want to keep in mind this type of products when you're making your decision based on the role that you're playing. So next, I will leave Nikos to explain the rest of the game. Please follow the link here in the Google form so we can start as soon as we can.
Hello from my side. Thanks, Erica. Please, all of you can follow this link. It's also provided in the chat, so it will direct you to the Google form that we will use to play this game. So maybe Adele can also go through this form we have to go through this the first role together, all of us. So just give us a moment to change the screens. Yeah, so hopefully by now you're on this Google form. Again, you could go there by following the link on the chat. And here in the first slide, you can see again the information that Adele provided previously. So we have this game with the 4 roles that you play through it and the location of the city. We can scroll a bit more down. We have the location of the city as in the image and in the actual, let's say, satellite where it's located, so we have a better visual context. And we can go to the next slide. And now we really have the information for the first role. So the cycling event organizer, and now you need to wear the hat of the event organizer that you worked hard the previous weeks to make an event, a cycling event in the city for Friday 17th. And of course, your responsibilities now is clearly the safety of the participants, and of course, to make sure that the event is a success. So based on the information you will see later on, you need to decide whether or not you're willing to cancel the upcoming event. So you can see also on the map in the same slide, the information that is relevant for this role. We have the city, the 2 main rivers, the 2 rivers that are located in the city and the city center, where is the location that the event will take place. So we can go on the next slide now. And we have the information for the first lead time. So we are now 24 hours ahead of the event, of the cycling event, and you have the different forecasting products. So the first one we see is a rainfall product. It is a forecasted daily accumulation for whole Friday, so for 24 hours of Friday. And what we can see on this product is roughly that the rainfall in the area, so we see the city, the boundaries of the city in the black, and the location of the city center with the red star. And it seems that the forecasted rainfall for the whole Friday, for all 24 hours of Friday, is something around 20 to 50 millimeters. So this amount of rainfall, just to give you a context, we don't know when it's going to occur, and if it's going to occur at one short time period, let's say 1 hour, or half an hour, 2 hours, or throughout the day. This has different impacts. If it occurs throughout the day, all this rainfall, or after the event, of course, it doesn't have any problem. If it occurs a short period of time, within the time of the event, it can potentially cause some troubles. But unfortunately, we cannot know more based on this particular time. And if we scroll more down, we have one more product, which is about discharges. So yeah, it's about the discharge on the river. So it is the big river, the East River, and we care for Friday. So we have circled the day for you to make it a bit easier to identify. And we see, so this product has information about many models that are run, and the information is provided in these boxes. So all the products, all the models, the information they have is within these boxes. And we have 2 more models that can be considered maybe more reliable, and are the blue and the red line. Now, for all these products for the Friday, we see that the information lies within the yellow band. And what the yellow band means, that the expected rainfall, the expected discharge, has a return period between 2 and 5 years. So this means that this amount of discharge happens in a river normally once every 2, 3, 4 years, something like that. So of course, not an everyday discharge. At the same time, it's not something very extreme. So these are the 2 information that are provided for this 24 hours lead time, and you have the contingency table, which you need to go through by yourself. Since you are the cycling organizer, you can check the contingency table with the information about what happens if you cancel or keep the event, and if the flood comes or not. And you really need to decide now, and we go at the end of this slide, if you're willing to cancel this event based on the information you saw, or keep the existing plans, and how confident you are for your decision. Again, there is no right or wrong answer here. It's just really what you feel you could do in this situation based on this information you have. And I believe by now you have the chance to read the table and make your decision. So we can go maybe on the next lead time. So here now, we're again the cycling organizer. We are now 4 hours before the event, so we have some updated information from the different for the different forecasting products. And the first one is again the river discharge. Now the information is updated, so we have one particular information for Friday, and we see again that pretty much the information do not change compared to the previous one. All the products beside one, all the models besides one indicate that the expected discharge is something that occurs once every 2-3 years. And one of the products indicates that this discharge can be a bit more extreme. So it has a discharge that comes once every 5 years around. And moreover, we have the information about the rainfall. Now this product is a bit, has a better resolution in space and time. So the information provided is really for only 1 hour, the first hour of the event, so between 13:30 and 14:30. And we have also more grid cells to give us a better resolution in space. And now this product shows us that the expected information, that the expected rainfall for the first hour of the event is not so extreme. So the rainfall is something, we see the colors, they are like greenish, bluish. So something between 2 millimeters of rainfall for the hour, 2-3, which normally really do not pose any threat. And now again, if you scroll more down, we have once more the contingency table. It's again the same information as before. And you need one more time to decide with this no information for the 4 hours ahead of the cycling event, if you are willing to cancel the event and how confident you are for your decision. And hopefully by now you have the chance to go through this information also and make your decisions. So we can go maybe on the next slide, which is the final lead time for this cycling event organizer role. So now we are 1 hour ahead of the event and we have some more information. And this information, for example, the first slide you will see is the flash flood hazard levels. So as Erica presented previously, is information about the potential of flash floods. So it's only flash floods, not pluvial or fluvial. And we see that in our city, there is a possibility for flash floods in the southern boundaries. And this is highlighted with a yellow color, 1. So of course, not something very, very possible, but there is a possibility for that. Nevertheless, of course, these locations are far from the locations of the cycling event will take place. And we have one more product. This is the final product for this lead time. We have the rainfall accumulation. Yes. So this is the rainfall accumulation product, again for Friday, again for 1 hour. So for the first hour of the event. And this is even finer resolution. And of course, because it is closer in time, we can consider it also as more reliable product. So more correct information we can believe it has. And here we can see that the expected rainfall, it changed quite much from the previous time. And now we see that most of the locations within the city, we see the colors, they are like purple, dark red. So it means a rainfall above 16 millimeters, 20. There are some places also that will experience 35 millimeters of rainfall potentially based on the forecast. So this amount of rainfall within 1 hour, it can really pose some threat in some locations that are, for example, low-lying, potentially can cause some small problems with drainage systems. Of course, now we cannot know more about this, but this could happen based on this amount of rainfall if it really occurs based on the forecast. And again, we have the contingency table later on. And you can decide, of course, one more time, if you're willing to cancel the event or not, and how confident you are for your decision. And this is the information for the first role. So similar information will happen also, will occur for the next roles that you're going to play. I believe by now you are already made your decisions for these 3 lead times, and we can go to the next role, which is the school district manager. So now here you need to remove the hat of the cycling organizer, wear the blue hat of the school district manager. And now your responsibilities, of course, are different. Your responsibility is the safety of the students and the educational staff, as well as, of course, operate the school efficiently, effectively, and to be safe, the people there. So once more time now, you will see again the same types of products, and you have to decide whether or not you're willing to evacuate the school. And here we have one more time the location of the school. And from now on, I will give you 4 minutes. You can go through this by your own pace. I'm gonna help you with the timing to be in the same pace. The products you will encounter is pretty much the same. So you have 4 minutes to go through by yourself and check the products. And of course, if there's any question, you can always ask on chat, and we'll be able to guide you, to give you some information more that are necessary. So maybe you had already the chance to go through the first lead time. So hopefully you are already in the second lead time, so 4 hours ahead, or you're really going there. And there you will see some new products that were not presented previously. Hopefully you will be able to understand by yourself. Otherwise, you can always please write in the chats. We're gonna provide some more information if needed. And here it's good to mention also that in case you finish this role earlier, we can also take your time, but in case you're faster, please do not go to the next role, but just wait for all of us to be in the same pace. So hopefully by now you have already finished the second lead time for the school district management role, and you are the last one. So 1 hour before the event, and you have again your time to go through. And I believe by now you will be able to finish also the last lead time for the school district management role. So now we can go on the next one. And here is about the road operator. I'm gonna hand over to Erica, and she will explain you more about this and keep the time and go through with you. So thank you from my side.
Well, basically, as Nikos was explaining before, in this case, we're going into the last two roles. This one is the road operator, and here your responsibility changes, and basically is that the safety of the public is you're responsible for it, as well as making sure the traffic of the city does not collapse during the day of the event, the cycling event. So as Nikos was saying, now you put the hat on of the road operator, and then you have to decide based on the information that we can see right now. So as before, I will give you a couple of minutes so you can read the information and make your decision. So probably by now you're already on the next lead time. So here we have, which is 2 hours before the event. So please, just a reminder that when you stop with the roll, just wait until I can guide you to the next one. And I think by now you must be on the last lead time. So we're just gonna wait a couple of seconds so we can head up to the next roll. I think we can go to the final role of the game. And in this case, the final role is the paper factory manager. So in this case, you are the manager of a factory in Everland that stays open 24 hours a day. And the safety of your employees is your responsibility, as well as keeping the production up and running efficiently at all times. So in this role, you have to decide whether to close the factory and stop the production and evacuate your employees in response to the flood warning you just received, or keep operation going. And this is really important because, like we said, both decisions have positive and negative consequences. So we can start, and I'm going to give you a couple of minutes so we can start the roles. And please, if you finished, just don't keep going. We'll move you towards it at the end. Just a reminder that if you have any questions on the products or the forecast or any questions that you might have, you can write them in the chat so I can address them. There's 2 more minutes left to record all your answers and submit right at the end. So just let me know if you have any questions or also just a reminder that in the chat, we have the link for the game. So if you enter late, you can still participate if you want to, or at the end of the session, at the end of the game, we will have a debriefing when we talk about the results and the game itself. I see that there is a question, and no, in this case, we don't have any plan of flood prevention in the evacuation rules, I guess, if that's. So since we're almost going to the end of the game, I will invite back Adele.
Okay, great. I hope everyone had a chance to play the game. I know we had some latecomers. And also, I'm sorry about my mic. I understood there were also some issues with my mic. So I hope everyone, my apologies for that. So next we're gonna go into the discussion section of our presentation. And I'm gonna hand you over to Santiago. I should probably stop this music as well. Okay, great. So now I'm gonna hand you over to Santiago, and we're going to do a quick discussion of what products you might have used during the game. So Santiago, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So over to you.
Thank you, Adele. Well, as you could see, during the whole game, we had different products for different lead times. And now our plan is to make a category between those. So we have two different groups. One's the products on the left hand are the hazard-based products. So these were based on hydro-meteorological multi-hazards, weather forecasting. And the idea of these products is to make some improvements towards accuracy and lead time. And mainly all the advances in these kind of products are within the meteorological community. However, we're having still problems with these kind of products because we have a lack of appreciation of what the forecast means or how to understand the impacts or consequences that we have. That's why we have the products on the left hand that are impact based. So please, Dale, if we can go to the next one. Yeah. So basically, what we want to say and is basically the main objective of this role game is that within the impact-based products, we can convey what the impact may be to an individual or the community. Also, that people can understand better how the hazard is going to impact or the consequences that we can expect. Additionally, all the people that are users of these products are going to make more protective decisions. And because we are going to work on the messages that we're relaying to the people, we have to we require an interdisciplinary approach. So for instance, we have an example here when we are combining information from hazard-based products, and also we are including impact-based information. As here we have severe thunderstorms, have a wind gust exceeding 100 kilometers per hour. That's the hazard-based part. And the impact-based information additional to that is that those will result in damage to trees and power lines. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. So next we're gonna ask Linda, can you share your screen?
Okay, hi everyone. Hopefully you can see the my screen now. What we're going to do in this final part of the session is have a bit of a discussion about how we produce these kind of impact-based forecasts and how useful they are to people. So more technology to use. Can you all please go to menti.com, and if you open that website address, and then it will ask you for a code, and you can pop the code in that's at the top of this picture, which is 8559325, and then you should be able to see these slides. If anyone can't see, just let us know in the chat. So when we originally thought about this game, we were hoping to have everyone sat in a room together discussing these things together. Unfortunately, that's not possible. So hopefully this will be the next best thing. So we have been collating all your answers from the Google form. So there is a set of results for this game, which we will share with you at the end of the session. But from my perspective, the most important question really is, did you feel more confident making decisions when you had the impact data? So these are the examples of the impact products. And if you could just click yes, no, or if you're not sure about saying whether you felt confident making decisions. Just give you a minute to see how many people are going to answer. Okay, so this is looking pretty good so far, that we've got 91% of people saying that they have got more confidence when they're making the impact-based decisions. And to me, this is the most important thing, because there's no point having a forecasting system which has loads of great products in, lots of information, but you just can't get the information that you need if you're actually trying to use the forecast in earnest. So this is why we are promoting through this session. And I think, kind of generally within the forecasting community is the value of impact-based forecast products. So there's one person here who said no. I'd be interested to know why you didn't feel no. Was that because it was for a particular scenario you didn't understand the information for, which is perfectly understandable, or in general you found that the impact-based data made it more difficult to make decisions? So that's an interesting point. If you want to write anything about that in the chat, feel free. But for now, we'll move on to the next slide. Why? I'd like you all to put some kind of initial thoughts down. Doesn't have to be an essay, just the first things that pop into your head about why you felt more confident making decisions when you had the impact-based data. I'll give you a few minutes to do that. I'm not seeing any answers. I'm hoping some people have got some ideas here.
Linda, I don't know if it's only me, but I also see in the chat that the question is not available to answer.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Not again. It should be available. Okay. Well, if you can't answer on the screen, then feel free to put some ideas down in the chat on the Zoom meeting about why you felt more confident making decisions when you had the impact-based data.
No, it's fine. It should work.
Yours is working.
Yes, it's available now for everyone, I think.
Oh, okay, great. Yes, we can see the results. I hope it's not making you all go too dizzy watching them come up. Okay, this is looking great. So we've got some things here. I know you've all put different words in, so they're all coming out the same size, because it does if lots of people write the same thing, it brings it up in bigger text. But we've got clearer, actionable, non-technical, clear messaging. So these are important. We need to communicate our forecasts and make sure people actually understand what they mean. We've also got information here about specific information, so specific actions, more information. So this is really important to kind of say what it actually means to individual people. And I think this makes it a lot easier for people to take action. Social media data here. So one of the impact-based products you had was kind of real-time observations collected from social media. These can be great if you can rely on the person that's put the tweets out, and hopefully you're not getting too much misleading information, but it certainly helps when you're sat in a kind of forecasting room, which might be miles away from the action, to see what's happening on the ground. So as we've seen there, it's kind of really great to have this impact-based information. It helped most of us make better decisions, and it helped us understand more about what the impacts would be and what our actions should be. So we can kind of follow on from that to say, well, we'd really like to have impact-based forecasts available wherever possible, but we don't. There's a lot of, these are kind of emerging examples in quite a lot of forecasting centres around the world. Some countries are better at it than others. Some countries are just more developed in the science than others. So I'd like to have a think now about what some of the barriers might be to the development and uptake of impact-based forecasts. So these were just my initial thoughts. If you have any others, then again, feel free to write them in the chat on the Zoom, because I'd be really interested to hear them. But there's no right or wrong answer here, but if you'd like to have a quick go at ranking these in priority, please do. And someone shout if it's not, oh, it's not working again. Does it work if I reset it, hopefully?
Yes, it's working now.
This is really weird, but we'll just have to keep resetting it. That's fine.
I think that's good, but it's working now. Okay, so this is really interesting results coming in. And I think the way people prioritize these probably depends a little bit on their background. So whether they're kind of a researcher, forecaster, operational decision maker, what their experience is probably influences quite a lot what you think the biggest barriers are based on what you see in your day-to-day work. I'm coming up here with a lot of people saying that the need for integration between organizations is the top barrier, and I certainly would agree with that from my experience. I've had kind of operational experience and also working on a number of research projects looking at some of these things, trying to get different organizations to speak to each other and to speak the same language. So kind of what do we mean by heavy rainfall, the questions like that is quite a challenge. And then just the logistical and kind of technical links between organizations, so sharing forecast data, communicating in real time, they can, you know, add a lot of extra time to your day, which we've also got listed further down, extra time needed to work interdisciplinary. So that's either during an event or, you know, in advance of the event when you're producing and making these kind of models. The next one that seems to be staying at the top there is communication of impact-based warnings. So hopefully you found the communication of the information in the game helpful. Otherwise, it wouldn't have improved your decision making, I don't think, if you have impact-based information, but it's not communicated clearly. But how we communicate that again out to the public as well as to decision makers is quite a big challenge, and there's a big body of literature on that you can delve into. How to evaluate impact-based forecasts is on this list as well, because this can be quite a big challenge. How do we get the data to actually understand what the impacts were on the ground, especially when we've kind of moved from meteorological forecast at one end of a chain all the way through looking at kind of flood inundation modeling and then impacts at the end. How do we evaluate all those different steps in the process? Can be quite challenging. And if we can't evaluate our models, we can't prove how successful they are, and then it becomes difficult to get people to start using them. So I would say all of these things on this list are important depending on your perspective. But at the end of this session, we've made a resource document for you which has some kind of literature exploring some of these things in more detail. So the question I want to ask of you all really is, we've talked about how important it is to work interdisciplinary and how important it is to have impact-based data in our forecast and warning products. And the only way to get those products made is for us to increase the number of people that we work with. It's no use us just being a kind of modeler or forecaster sat in our
office, or increasingly at the minute it's at home in our bedrooms. We need to work with lots of other different people, and we need to understand what their roles are, what their data is, what the limitations of their products are, and how we can use that to produce something that has value for decision makers and the public. So I've put a number of suggestions of different groups there. So you've got data and observational specialists, modelers, forecasters, decision makers, emerging response organizations, sociologists, so kind of actually understanding what impacts will be to different groups, community groups, communicators, the public, and many others. And hopefully,
we've got to refresh it again.
Yeah, I'm just going to do that. So
Okay.
we just need to reset it. And the question is, how many of these groups, if I just do that, is it working now? How many of these groups outside of your own discipline do you work with regularly?
Also, Linda, there are some comments in the chat that you might want to beat in case.
I can't see the chat at the same time.
I can
I'll do the chat at the end.
If like one of them is Tom Sampson is saying, I think the integration is a really interesting topic. What are your thoughts on how to engage with major infrastructure or businesses within a city, for example?
Yeah, that's a really good question. My recommendation would be to engage with them really early on in the process. So don't go and present to them this really great forecasting model that you've produced that's answering all of these amazing questions that you think are relevant. Actually, the way you can get people to engage with you is if you go to them right at the beginning and say, what are the challenges that you're facing and how can we help you? Then they've got kind of a vested interest throughout your project. So that when you produce your new shiny impact-based forecasting model at the end, then they've been involved all the way through. So they're more likely to want to start using that, would be my suggestion. Anyway, this is great that no one has answered 0, so this is really good. But then I suppose that's to be expected if you've got people coming to an interdisciplinary session like this. So this is really good results. Well done to the people who are working with 7+ different groups. Top marks. So one of the motivations for this session was, how can early career researchers help contribute towards interdisciplinary work? And on the previous slide, one of the challenges I had was developing skill sets to work interdisciplinary like this. And one of the best ways we can do that is making sure that we work with lots of different groups. So taking up any opportunities that are available to us to do that. So my go-away take-home message from this session to you would be, make sure that you kind of increase these numbers. So if I came back to you next year and said, how many groups outside your own discipline do you work with? Could you have added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to that list? So just to end this discussion really, I'll go back to the chat and we can talk about those questions in a second. I've just got a couple of suggestions about groups you could engage with here. So in the UK, we've got the Natural Hazards Partnership, which is an organisation covering kind of the meteorological forecasting, also flood forecasting, landslides, the public health and people like that with impact data. So that's an organisation trying to incorporate all of those things together. Also the High Weather Project, which has a parallel sessions running today and the rest of this week, is incorporating a lot of these different disciplines and thinking about impact-based warnings. The HEPEX community is a global network of hydro-meteorologists effectively looking at ensemble predictions, but within that also looking at impact-based warnings and how to make the best use of science to support decision making. So there'd be my 3 networks for you to have a look at, try and get involved with some of their projects to increase your numbers. And also we've got the Water Youth Network, which has been leading this session, and Santiago was going to talk quickly now about how you could get involved in some of the activities of the Water Youth Network, and then we'll have a general chat about any questions that have been raised in the Zoom meeting. So I'll hand back over.
Thank you, Linda. Well, within the Water Youth Network, we have different groups that are working within different topics, and one of the main groups that is working in this topic is the DRR, disaster risk reduction. Within that one, well, we can have different disasters that we are working with, and within that we have also a team that is the early warning system youth community. You can also look at our website and see that we're leading different initiatives regarding that sense. So if you want to follow just the information, we're gonna be really happy to be working also with you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Santiago. So now we're going to just present our last slide. So just to give our final thoughts, we were able to compile the results of the game. Right now, we're only showing the confidence slide. So as you can see here, the dotted lines are showing the products and that had no impact information, and then the solid lines show the ones that have impact information. So I'm just going to go straight to the 1 hour ahead, which shows that for the paper factory, which is in green, and also the school manager, it did actually show a higher level of confidence for those particular roles. So maybe this is indeed what we're trying to say in this session, that there is the importance of impact-based products, and in order to develop impact-based products, you do need an interdisciplinary approach. That's really what we're trying to get across. We've also provided some additional information. You can access that information through this link. The link is also being put in the chat, and there's more information on our networks. There's also a list of literature that you can find on impact-based forecasting, impact-based warnings. We have a feedback form. You can give us your inputs on the game. Did you like the game? Did you think it was useful? Maybe did you like the music? Maybe a different song another time. And also you can find the link to all the results from the questions that you answered today. So I believe we are a little bit over time, but I would like to thank everyone for participating in the game. It's been an interesting experience for us. We'd love to hear more about your thoughts, so you can still put those in the chat. I think we have time until we're actually kicked out of here. So if you want to continue the discussion in the chat, I think that would be good. And I'm going to take a quick look at the chat right now just to see if there are any burning questions. If I could find the chat. I cannot find the chat. Okay. Yeah, so I see some people have put some comments in here. Yeah, so I know we have focused, because I mean, within the limits of the time, we did decide to focus mainly on this operational decision making and not so much the citizens and actually the people. But we are hoping to maybe do this game again at another venue and really to incorporate that aspect of it. So there is an opportunity to take your comments and your feedback and to improve the game. Yes, I see, Michael. Thank you for your comments. Yeah, we agree with that. We agree with that. Thank you very much. If there are no other comments, I think we're going to end the session because we are over by 5 minutes. So once again, thank you very much, and feel free to fill out the feedback form. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you found it interesting.